Jags Browns. Jaguars are 3-point dogs. They're in Cleveland. Low total in this because right now we don't know what Trevor Lawrence's status is going to be. It's 33.5 in this game. I think if we're being honest, if we're betting men and women, which we are, I would say Trevor Lawrence doesn't play in this game because they're listing him as questionable right now,
and ETN too.
But so much of it comes down to his status, and with ETN on top of that, even though he's kind of been a little bit of an up and down, frustrating as hell roller coaster over the last few weeks. This is where you're looking maybe some more defensive props like Myles Garrett or Josh Allen. You were looking for some sack props. Those are guys to maybe look at there, especially if Joe Flacco is starting for Cleveland. He can't move. And if it's C.J. Beathard and it's Joe Flacco as the two quarterbacks, they can't move. They got stone feet. So an opportunity there to maybe jump in on some sack props. But yeah, it all really rests right now on what the hell's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence. And by the way, even if he does play, he won't be moving at 100% anyway. So yeah, not a chance.
I can't see that happening. They've taken a lot of these receiving yards off of the board. The only receiving yards you can get is Jerome Ford, which I guess there
was a lot of stuff missing today.
A lot of stuff missing. You can get touchdown scores. I think maybe an interesting look is Elijah Moore. Plus 275, great number. I like the value there. Why? Well, because Atlanta has given up a touchdown to a wide receiver every single game this year. We know that Amari Cooper only has 2. I like Elijah Moore, though, because Joe Flacco likes Elijah Moore. We know that. Jacksonville is 0-13 in keeping opposing wide receivers off the board, getting a tutty. So I like Elijah Moore a little bit more than I like Amari Cooper.
Elijah Moore props?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that touchdown. Too. I like that too. And Flacco looked pretty good, man. He's still got a hose on him. He can make the throws. So I bet Cleveland on the opener +3. They're now 3-point favorites. So I would go money line -165 at home against the Jags. I love having the +3. And I actually would have bet that even if Trevor Lawrence was going to play in this game. I was looking at the weather early on. You got wind, you got rain, you got the lake effect. And the Jags run game, even if ETN does go, really hasn't got going. And if we don't get T-Law, even if we do get Trevor Lawrence, they're going to have to shoot him up. He has a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
And why are you going to play him on 6 days rest in a weather game? Because the other thing that nobody's talking about with Jacksonville is they're also on their third-string left tackle.
Yeah.
So you're going to protect his blind side with a high ankle sprain in a weather game against this Browns pass rush, which right now...
They might as well punt this game.
4th this season. Exactly. And pass rush win rate, and I think they might. I mean, because you still have some big matchups, obviously, down the stretch. And you got to worry about Houston and Indianapolis. But this isn't like you lose this game and season over or you're in huge trouble or anything like that. And the Browns pass rush, like we said, top 5, 4th this season in pass rush win rate. You're on your third-string left tackle.
The last thing you want is Myles Garrett coming after your sprained ankle.
And it's a weather game. And I also, like the other thing, when Christian Kirk went down, that's when I wanted this number at 3. Because Christian Kirk is the man beater. And that's what the Browns do. They play a ton of tight man coverage. They get a really good pass rush. And without him... Like, Kelvin Ridley has way too many drops this season. He hasn't been what we thought he was. Zay Jones is just finally back, but he hasn't really got going this season. So I'll just go, if I didn't get the +3, I would go Browns money line. I think that's one of my favorite bets other than the Bears this weekend. I like Cleveland a lot at home.
I was hoping they'd have receiver props already up when I was looking today because I wanted to see what Parker Washington would be put at. After him getting that opportunity...
Pierre?
Oh,
yes,
Parker.
Pierre. Sorry,
no,
yes.
it's Parker.
It is. No, this is
an inside joke.
Yeah, she kept calling him Pierre. Like it was an accident on first because we didn't know who the hell he was really, and then
he's a rookie.
Penn State, yeah.
And then it just became his nickname.
I prefer Pierre.
I think Pierre Washington's a good sounding name. Parker Washington's just fine though.
I like that too. Yeah,
but we'll see what actually happens. But it's clear that they saw him as somebody that may. Well, the worst part about that too is I looked at and saw it at halftime. 17-1 for a Parker Washington touchdown.
Oh god!
And I looked at Tristan. And I said, I'm thinking about it. And I didn't.
You didn't do it,
and then he did, and he did. Look, we all have those moments.
I know.
We all have those moments. At the price alone should have been enough. But I was just like, okay, maybe he got a couple of targets. Like I can't imagine.
You know when the name just sticks out, you look at the board and the name just pops off the screen, and you're like, is this divine? Is this God telling me what to do?
Yeah.
Like sometimes with quarterback, I love taking quarterback anytime touchdown props. When they speak to me, almost always I take them.
What do they usually sound like when they speak to you?
Bet this. Yeah. Hey,
bet this, Tristan.
Like last week.
We're here.
Russell Wilson.
Russell
Wilson. And then I was like, but no, I don't know. Is he washed? And it's like, just do it, Tristan. Just do it.
Is it gone?
Is it gone? Will he ever do it again?
What do you expect from that offense this weekend against the Falcons?
Well, I think, they've run the ball a lot better of late, and Rashad Rashad White has done a good job both catching and running. He has a chance to rush for 1,000 yards. I just think the offensive line is playing a little bit better. Atlanta doesn't have Grady Jarrett. I mean, they're missing some pieces on defense, obviously. They've been around 20 points a game. I mean, there's nothing special in terms of, the explosiveness of this team other than really Mike Evans. But in a must-win, and this is a must-win for the Bucs, because if they were to lose, they'd not only be 2 games behind Atlanta, but Atlanta would have the tiebreaker as well. If they win, everybody's in it again, right? Everybody's kind of tied there. So I expect them to play their best game. Now, they're missing a few pieces on defense. Devin White, we're not sure about Vita Vea, which would be a big factor against that Falcons rushing attack. But this should be a very competitive, close game, and I don't know that it's going to be high scoring.
When you look at Baker Mayfield this season, the counting numbers look pretty good. He's completing 63% of his passes, 18 touchdown passes to just 8 interceptions, has a QB rating of 90. What do you think? What would your evaluation, though, of Baker be? Obviously he's probably not the long-term answer. He's 28 years old, but do you think he's the guy the next season, the season after that, even if they miss out on the playoffs? Because they played pretty well at times, and then there's been some stinkers in there, but he's been all right.
I think he's been better than all right for what they had. When you look at the free agents that came out, whether it was Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, those are $100 million guys. Baker's playing for $4 million. This is a sort of a prove-it one-year deal. And he's come in here and he's done everything the right way. Of course, he's the Pied Piper in the locker room. Everybody follows this guy. He's very likable. And he plays with sort of an offensive lineman's mentality, and they love that as well. So, he's protected the ball, I think, for the most part. He's under it's a first-time play caller, which hasn't helped him. And Dave Canales not only did he learn a new system, but this guy didn't call plays since Carson High School, 15 years ago. So there's a learning curve, as well as when you put in a system that's a zone running system. It's taken a while for Rashad White, and that offensive line to sort of mesh. So there's been some hiccups along the way. But I think he's been more than adequate, and it depends on where they finish, right? If they don't finish well and they're in the top 10, top 12, they may be looking at a quarterback in the first round, or even if they do, maybe Baker is sort of that bridge to that young guy. So we'll have to see how it goes, but I know they've been very pleased with him, and I know he likes Tampa. And look, this is his 4th team in 17 months, so not sure he's looking to move on very quickly if he can avoid it.
I think really, when you look at them and you watch their all-22, and the film of their games is that you watch their combinations of how they incorporate with their routes, and there's really good marriage between the routes with the receivers and the tight end. So you will you will have a bunch formation where you get 3 wide receivers or 2 wide receivers and a tight end to one side, and then you get 2 outs and a seam route behind it. And now you've got coverage that's pulled to the 2 outs, and then the seam route is a one-on-one, an open shot, and Dak's did a pretty nice job. Whereas last year they had problems when Dak was throwing the ball in the middle of the field. They had interceptions. That was a big thing that was going on, but they've done a much better job with the route combinations. The protection has been a lot better, and then Dak has done a really nice job of being able to find the open guy and knowing that, okay, we've designed this play to take advantage of this safety or take advantage of this corner. And they're doing that far more now than they did earlier in the season.
Yeah, Brian, since the bye week, the offense has been near perfect, and obviously they step up in class a little bit this week, but the defensive side of the ball, still love the pass rush. You worry a little bit, I guess, about like the slot corner position, and I like Bland. The interception numbers are obviously really good, but he's been getting picked on the last couple weeks, especially last week. And then when you pop on like the all-22, the middle of the field, the linebackers, they're a little bit beat up right now. Sure. Is that your main concern with the defensive side of the ball, just the middle of the field, the linebacker position?
It's not the linebackers, guys. It's the safeties.
Yeah.
But you get in a lot of trouble here in Dallas when you talk about safety play, and that's something I was really screaming about actually since training camp. And it's like, and then everybody wants to throw Pro Football Focus grades in my face and all that stuff like that. But honestly, they've struggled. Malik Hooker hasn't played as well as he needed to play as a true free safety. Curse hasn't really, played up to the standards that we saw from him last year. and then Donovan Wilson, missed all of training camp basically with a calf injury. And, if you look at the 73-yard touchdown that DK Metcalf had last week, it was for some unknown reason, they're playing two on the hash, and all of a sudden, Wilson steps up, and for no reason, there was nothing threatening him to take a crosser or anything like that. He just steps up and reacting to the play, and then the ball goes right between him and Bland. And so, they've had some problems, and they've had some problems because what they've asked these safeties to do is they play so much dime. When we talk about dime, that's the six defensive backs. These safeties are having to play a lot of linebacker in these games because they don't have the linebackers. They don't have the depth there. That's why you try and go out and you're trying to get Shaq Leonard because, they're in a situation where they just don't have a lot of depth there. So guys like Bell and Wilson and all those guys are having to step up and play these positions, out of positions. They might be getting a little banged up, but they just really haven't been that great in the middle of the field when you talk about the linebacker play. And with Leighton Vander Esch being out, that really has hurt them as well. They've just tried to kind of plug as many holes as they can, but at times it hasn't worked out as well.